The medical bay aboard the vessel of patient inquiry smelled of ozone and something faintly antiseptic, a scent John had grown used to over the 6 months since first contact. He sat on the examination table, sleeve rolled up, watching the Zethari physician, Dr. Vrenna, as she'd introduced herself, hover a scanning wand over his forearm with the careful precision of someone handling unstable explosives. "Please remain still, Ambassador Reeves," Vrenna said, her 4 eyes cycling through different spectrums as she studied the readout. "This will only take a moment." "Take your time," John said. "Not going anywhere." Anna leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching with the same wary alertness she'd carried since they'd been assigned as Earth's first diplomatic pair. 6 months of meetings, treaties, and increasingly bizarre biological questions had taught her that the Zethari found humans endlessly, sometimes uncomfortably, fascinating. The scanner beeped. Vrenna's antennae twitched, the Zethari equivalent of a raised eyebrow. "Curious," she murmured. "What's curious?" John asked. Vrenna set down the wand and retrieved a small vial. Then, with a delicacy that suggested she'd done this before and regretted it, pricked his finger. A single bead of blood welled up, dark red against his skin. She brought it close to her breathing slits and inhaled. Her whole body stiffened. "Doctor." Anna straightened up. "Everything all right?" "Your blood," Vrenna said slowly. "Smells of metal." John glanced at the bead on his fingertip like it had personally betrayed him. "Yeah, that's normal." "Normal." Vrenna repeated the word like it tasted strange in her mouth. "Ambassador, on my world, when a body's fluids carry the scent of metal, it indicates catastrophic cellular breakdown. Structural failure. It is the smell of a body's death throes, of tissue interacting with foreign material in ways it should not." John blinked. "Oh, no, that's just the iron." "The iron?" "Yeah. Our blood cells use hemoglobin. It's a protein with an iron atom at the center. That's what carries oxygen around our bodies. The iron reacts a little when it hits air, gives blood that metallic smell. It's completely normal. Every single one of us has it." Vrenna set the vial down with the exaggerated care of someone who had just been told a live grenade was, in fact, a paperweight, and was not yet prepared to believe it. "You are telling me your blood is metallic. As a design feature." "I mean, sure, when you put it that way." "Your species," Vrenna said, "runs on iron. Runs on oxygen, technically. The iron's just the delivery truck." Anna suppressed a smile. She'd seen this particular flavor of alien bewilderment before, the wide-eyed, slightly horrified fascination that seemed to follow humans everywhere they went in the wider galaxy. It had started with the revelation that humans could run marathons, then escalated through the discovery that humans slept for a third of their lives lying prone and defenseless. Then the incident where a Zethari in turn had nearly fainted upon learning humans gave birth to live young, without external incubation pods. The blood thing was new, though. John had a talent for delivering horrifying biological facts with the mild, unbothered tone of a man discussing the weather. Vrenna recovered enough to pick up a data slate, her stylus moving with brisk, agitated strokes. "Explain further, please, for the medical record." "Sure. Iron's actually toxic in large amounts. Ironically, pun not intended, but I'll take it. But in the trace amounts our bodies use, it's essential. Can't make hemoglobin without it. Can't carry oxygen without hemoglobin. Can't live without oxygen. So yeah, little bit of literal metal, keeping us alive, one heartbeat at a time." "You ingest it, then?" "The metal. We eat it in food, yeah? Red meat, spinach, that kind of thing. Our bodies pull the iron out and use it." "You eat metal to survive." "I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds kind of extreme." "It is extreme," Vrenna said, her voice rising half an octave, a Zethari tell for genuine distress. Dr. Kale theorized, when your species' medical files were first transmitted to the Confederation, that this was a translation error, a metaphorical description mistranslated as literal. I dismissed the theory as unlikely, given how consistently the data repeated itself. I did not dismiss it strongly enough, it seems. Anna finally pushed off from the doorway and walked over, unable to resist joining in. "It gets better," she said. Vrenna's antennae swiveled toward her with the wary energy of someone bracing for another blow. "Better. When we don't have enough iron, we get what's called anemia. Fatigue. weakness, sometimes fainting. That sounds consistent with metal deficiency causing malfunction. This part I understand. Sure, but then to fix it, doctors literally just tell you to eat more metal. There are supplements, pills, basically concentrated iron, that people take. I had an aunt who was anemic. She used to keep a bag of iron pills in her purse next to her mints. She carried emergency metal rations. Basically, yeah. Vrenna set the data slate down entirely and pressed two of her four hands against her face in a gesture John had come to recognize, after months of cross-cultural briefings, as the Zethari equivalent of needing a very long moment. "May I ask a follow-up question?" she said, muffled behind her hands. "Go for it. Is there other metal in your bodies besides the iron?" John considered this. "Yeah, actually. Zinc, copper, a little bit of magnesium, and calcium technically counts depending on how you categorize things. Calcium's mostly in our bones, though. Bones are basically our internal structural framework, if you didn't know, like architecture, but alive. Your skeleton," Vrenna said, very slowly, "is made partially of the same mineral that forms limestone deposits on Zethar Prime. I mean, I don't know the chemistry of your limestone, but probably similar? Calcium's calcium. Your species is a mineral deposit that walks and talks and negotiates trade agreements." Anna burst out laughing before she could stop herself. John shot her a look that was half amusement, half betrayal, but couldn't hold back his own grin. "When you put it like that," he admitted, "it does sound a little unsettling." "Unsettling," Vrenna repeated. She lowered her hands, composing herself with visible effort, her eyes refocusing on him with a fresh, unnerved sort of respect. "Ambassador Reeves, I have performed medical examinations on 11 distinct species in my career. None of them combusted trace metals internally as part of routine respiration. None of them constructed their skeletal architecture from mineral deposits. And none of them discussed this fact with the same tone one might use to describe preferring tea over coffee. It's just biology to us," John said with a shrug. "We didn't design it. We just run on it." "That," Vrenna said, "may be the most alarming sentence I have heard since my arrival on this vessel." She turned to her data slate and began typing again, faster now, occasionally pausing to glance back at John's arm as though it might do something else unexpected, sprout wires, perhaps, or start humming with current. "I will need to revise several sections of the Confederation's first contact medical briefing," she said. "The section currently reads, Terran biology, broadly organic, comparable to standard carbon-based life. I believe this requires amendment." "To what?" Anna asked, still grinning. Vrenna considered. "Terran biology, organic, but structurally reinforced with minerals and metabolically dependent on the internal combustion of trace metal to sustain basic function. I believe that is more accurate." "Little dramatic," John said, "but I won't argue with the facts. It is not dramatic. It is precise." Vrenna set the slate down and looked at him with something that had shifted somewhere in the last 10 minutes, from clinical detachment into something closer to wary awe. "Ambassador, your species survived and evolved on a homeworld violent enough to require you to metabolize metal simply to breathe. You did not engineer this trait. You did not choose it. It emerged from necessity, and you accepted it so completely that you no longer find it strange." John thought about that for a second. "When you say it that way, I guess it is kind of wild. We just don't think about it much. It's just Tuesday biology-wise." "Just Tuesday," Vrenna murmured, testing the phrase, filing it away with the same care she'd shown the blood sample. "I begin to understand why the Confederation Council debated your species admission for longer than any species in recorded history." "Good things or bad things?" Anna asked. Vrenna's antennae twitched. Amusement, John had learned, or something close to it. "Let us simply say," she said, capping her stylus, "that no one on the council expected the metal-blooded species to also be the friendliest one we've met in 3 centuries of contact. Adjusting to that combination has taken considerable time." John hopped down off the examination table, rolling his sleeve back down over the small bandage on his arm. "Well, Doc, for what it's worth, glad we could keep surprising you. Anna's actually got a titanium plate in her leg from a car accident, if you want a real headache." Vrenna went very, very still. "There is more metal," she said. Anna, still laughing, patted her thigh. "Oh, you have no idea." The doctor sat down heavily on her stool, for eyes wide, and reached for her data slate with the resigned expression of someone who suspected her briefing document was about to need a great deal more revision than she'd first thought.